What's up guys, Mike from Rockville, and today we're going to be talking about how to set up and use your Rock Matrix 4 for home use. So right in front of me I have the Rock Matrix 4 and the power cable. That's everything that comes in the box. You take the female end, plug it in the back over here. Take our male end, plug it right into the wall, anywhere you got power. And you're going to turn it on by pressing this button over here. So now you have a lot of options when it comes to inputting and outputting through the Rock Matrix 4. If you look over here, we have 4 XLR microphone inputs, 1 for each channel, as well as line inputs. We have 2 1/4-inch line inputs on channel 1 and 2, as well as RCA line level inputs on channels 3 and 4. And channel 4 also acts as our MP3 Bluetooth module. All you have to do to engage the Bluetooth module, which is on the LCD on the front, you just click in this MP3 button over here. So now moving on from the inputs, we have our output section over here. This is actually where you're going to wire all of your speakers for your different setups. So if you take a look over here, we have our 4 zones. So this is a multi-zone matrix receiver, which means that I have 4 different zones. Now on top of that, I have different options in how I can actually wire my speakers. So you'll see the common terminals on this side, that's our negative speaker wire, but then we have different options in what we can actually use. So I have a 4 ohm option, an 8 ohm option, a 16 ohm option, which is for traditional speakers. But then I also have 70 volt and 100 volt options, which is for speakers that have built-in transformers that can be tapped at different wattage amounts. Let me show you really quick how to wire your speakers up to the terminals right now. Now I cheated with my setup a little bit because I actually have the 2 ceiling speakers that I'm going to wire to zone 1 already wired to each other. All I did was go parallel, so from the positive terminal of that speaker to the positive terminal of this speaker, the negative to the negative, and I actually have this wire all snaked out through my ceiling, and it's right over here. Now to take these speaker wires and wire them directly to the terminals, the only thing you're going to need is a Phillips screwdriver. So what you're going to do first is you're going to take off the common terminal. So the common terminal is over here. This is what our black speaker wire gets attached to. Take the screw completely out. And then the other screw I'm going to remove is the 8 ohm screw because I have 2 16 ohm speakers run in parallel down to an 8 ohm load. So now that you have the terminal screws removed, you can take your speaker wire. I'm going to start with the negative and you kind of wrap it around the screw. So once you have it looped around, you're going to line it back up with that terminal. And you're basically just going to screw the screw right back in with the speaker wire looped around it. And I'm going to do the same exact thing for the 8 ohm terminal. So I take my positive end, wrap it around the screw, I'm going to line it up with that terminal, and you're just going to screw it right in. So now I'm just going to skip ahead and do all the rest of the work for the wiring for the other 3 zones, so I'll see you in a minute. Alright guys, I got the rest of the 4 zones all hooked up, so let me explain the setup really quick. So zone 1 is my 2 ceiling speakers over here. Zone 2 is actually going to be the 2 ceiling speakers in that room over there. Zone 3 is the 2 speakers above the camera. And zone 4, we're actually using wall speakers. Now, to pick an input, you use the input selector over here. And you can see if I press it, right now it's on input channel 1. If I press it, it's going to go to input channel 2. If I press it again, it's going to go to input channel 3. And finally, if I press it for a 4th time, it's going to go to input channel 4. So now I mentioned before that channels 3 and 4 have line level RCA input, so I'm going to use that to connect my iPad. So I have an RCA to aux cable right here. I'm going to take the red and white end and plug it directly. So I'm going to go red to red and white with white. So on my input selection, I'm going to put once, that's channel 2, and then a 3rd time to get to input channel 3. I'm just going to plug this into my iPad now. I'm going to go play music. It's not going to output anything until I send it to a zone. So I'm going to send it to zone 1, the speaker's right above me. Remember, you click output selection, zone 1. I'm going to turn that off really quick, and I'm going to go to zone 2. You can barely hear it because it's in the other room. So I'll go quickly over to zone 3. You hear that right away because the speaker's there. I turn that off, and I go to zone 4, which is our wall speakers over there. And now remember, I can have this playing through one zone, or I can turn all the zones on, and I have a combination of all the 4 zones. Sounds really good too. So let's think about this for a second. If I have this unit hooked up in my house, I could have zone 1 be the kitchen, zone 2 be the backyard patio area, zone 3 be the bedroom, and zone 4 be the living room. And then I can have music playing through all of those zones at once, Or I can select, hey, I just want to listen to music in the kitchen and not the living room, someone's watching TV. So this gives me a lot of flexibility for inputting one device through multiple different zones. But now one of the coolest features of the Rock Matrix 4 is that you can have multi-input sourcing and send those different devices to different zones. I'm going to take my phone right now, and I'm actually going to connect it to Bluetooth. Remember I mentioned before that on channel 4 acts as our Bluetooth channel. You just have to make sure that this button is pressed in. It says no device, so you click the mode button. It's going to go to Bluetooth. We're just going to find the Rock Matrix 4 and connect. I'm going to have my Bluetooth channel hooked up to zone 1. So channel 4, our Bluetooth channel, is coming out of zone 1, the speaker's right above me. And then I'm going to have this iPad, which is on channel 3, playing through zone 3, which is the 2 speakers behind the cameras. I'm gonna go back over to channel 3 and turn off every zone except for zone 3. And what I'm gonna do is first play music through my iPhone. Play that real quick. You can hear that music coming through, right? And now my iPad is hooked up to zone 3. So the jazz music is gonna come through there. You're gonna hear this. So it sounds a little crazy, but basically I have my Bluetooth music coming through zone 1, and I have my iPad music coming through zone 3. That might have sounded a little crazy, but I just wanted to illustrate the point that I can have multiple different input devices playing different music coming through the Rock Matrix 4, and then off the Rock Matrix 4, I can decide what zone it comes out of. This is huge because if we go back to the house example, say I have the news on my phone and I want to listen to it in the kitchen. I can route that directly to the kitchen zone. Well, someone wants to listen to upbeat music outdoor on the patio, I can do that just by selecting the right zone and where it outputs through. Now, really cool features that we added is that both the input sources have a 2-band EQ, a high and low EQ, so you can fine tune the music coming into each channel. And then all of the zones have their own 3-band EQ, a high, low, and mid EQ. And to reiterate another thing that you might do in your setup, you can also mix and match different styles of speakers. So I am using traditional 16 ohm speakers in this setup, but you can also mix and match with 70 volt speakers and 100 volt speakers. And another really cool thing that you can do, because it has microphone inputs, is since you have multiple different sources like iPad and iPhone, that you can pull up the YouTube karaoke version of a song from YouTube and then use the microphone inputs to sing into, and you'll actually have a full zoned karaoke system. Now, oftentimes when people are thinking of home installs, we are thinking about stereo installs. I do want to give a quick note that all the audio outputs off of this unit are outputting in dual mono, which means that every single speaker that you're outputting through is going to play exactly the same. There's not going to be a separation between left and right. But if you did want to have a stereo setup, there is a way to do it. All you need is a 1/4 inch Y cable that is 2/4 inches on one end, and then like an aux cable on the other end. You're going to take one of the 1/4 inches, plug it into channel 1, the other 1/4 inch is going to plug into channel 2, and then the aux cable is either going to plug into your iPad, your smartphone, or your computer. And then what you're going to do is basically zone it out so that channel 1 and 2 are sent to different zones. That's going to give you that stereo field where half the music is going to be playing on one side or one zone, and the other half is going to be playing on the other zone. So that's how you can do a stereo setup using the Rock Matrix 4. So hopefully this video showed you how versatile the Rock Matrix 4 is and how smart it is as the audio hub brain of your whole system. And hopefully we also inspired a couple different ways that you can creatively use it in your home. But again, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, feel free to reach out to our customer support tech team through phone or email. As always, guys, I'm Mike from Rockville. I'll see you next time.